monkey swimming on this one. Just be patient, be patient. I have to look. Penny wants to. Well, there's a girl that looks like Margie. Yes, there's a girl feeding a monkey, and she looks a bit like Margie.
So what do we do with the gorilla who has the sign of the book, the camera, naming the animals, the gorilla who says, "Fine animal, gorilla," when she's asked if she's an animal or a person? Who is this universal man who is separated from every history? Well, first of all, Koko the gorilla is born in the San Francisco Zoo. How does she come to be the companion of the psychology graduate student at Stanford, Penny Patterson? And how is it that Penny Patterson gets to keep her? One of the first things to remember is that zoos are able to have these endangered animals only if they somehow get themselves involved in helping these animals to reproduce, in the reproductive politics that are part of conservation politics. So the mayor of San Francisco, the politicians of San Francisco, people who speak for science, people who speak for nature, get involved in liberating Koko the gorilla from the zoo where she is spectacle to Santa Clara Valley, to the Silicon Valley, where she's a companion to Penny Patterson, speaking American Sign Language and representing man, only if Penny Patterson can also show that this speaking gorilla, who shouldn't be spectacle because she speaks, will also reproduce. So Penny Patterson and her allies buy Michael, another gorilla kidnapped from the wild, who was also taught American Sign Language, and who was kept as a consort for Penny, that she would grow up and have a speaking consort, be removed from spectacle in the San Francisco Zoo, and in a speaking reproductive politics, reproduce in the arena of science. Penny Patterson and Koko engaged in this reproductive politics in the Silicon Valley, in the Los Altos Hills. Let's turn from the Penny Patterson and Koko story to another scene of the traffic across nature and culture. This time, let's look at Indonesia, and let's look at another cover of the National Geographic magazine, this time with Berute Galdakos and two orangutan orphans clinging to the maternal body of science-coded female. We have in this situation a scientist, Berute Galdakos, teaching kidnapped infants from the wild how to be wild. These are infants who are taught by the human being to return to nature. And if we look at the other picture, we see Berute Galdakos' son, Binti, in a plastic bathtub with one of the orangutan orphans, Princess, taking a bath together. And in the story between Binti and Princess, we learn that the orangutan Princess teaches the human child Binti his first human word in American Sign Language, while Binti's natural mother is teaching Princess how to be wild. We also learn that Berute Galdakos' favorite orangutan rehabilitant or orphan, Sujito, has at adolescence fallen in love with Berute Galdakos and needs to be relocated in the forest, far distant from the scene of the rehabilitation of the orphans, lest his out-of-control libidinal love for his mother, his illegitimate and incompletely phallically, Oedipally reorganized love for his mother, interfere with the traffic across nature and culture. Images of the traffic across that sacred boundary between nature and culture abound. For example, we have here in a narrative history of the portrait in photography, a family, a middle-class American family at the zoo for an afternoon. The family consists of a white blonde woman, a black man, two chimpanzee children, and a human child of ambiguous ethnic identity. This is the kind of species racial recoding that we find in modern American culture. We have also a greeting card of this strange 1950s television family, the unmarried couple, Tarzan and Jane, their adopted child, Boy, and their strange chimpanzee daughter. We have this family that exists at the boundary between nature and culture, and we need to ask why these boundary objects and why this particular moment in history. This particular moment in history deals with two particularly important world-changing events. One of them is decolonization and the achievement of national independence all over the Third World, and the second is multinationalism and the reorganization of nature in a multinational system of production in the post-World War II moment. Race, sex, and class are recoded on the boundaries between nature and culture. So let's leave the Los Altos Hills, the Silicon Valley, the San Francisco Zoo. Let's leave these first world spaces where Penny and Koko engaged in a narrative about universal man, surrogacy, and rehabilitation. And let's go to a strange mythic space called the wilds of Tanzania. And let's go there with the National Geographic magazine. Here we are in the wilds of Tanzania, brought there by the National Geographic magazine, and the National Geographic television specials. But despite the fact that I know how to load my magazine now, we're going to go to the wilds of Tanzania unarmed. But the question we have to ask in the wilds of Tanzania is, what exactly does it cost to put a white virgin blonde woman in this strange sacred place called the wilds of Tanzania in 1960? What does it cost to be alone in nature the year that the Belgian Congo becomes the Republic of the Congo, and Jane Goodall, on her way to the scenes of intimacy with the wild chimpanzees in the Gombe Stream Preserve, the scenes of intimacy that have become part of television life, part of the touch with nature from the first world to the third world? What does it cost to be alone in nature as Jane Goodall and her mother stop on the shores of the lake before taking the boat to the Gombe Stream and make 2,000 Spam sandwiches for fleeing Belgians, the year of the independence of the Republic of the Congo?
For most, this would be a lonely, forbidding realm. But for Jane Goodall, it was where she most wanted to be.
During my first days at Gombe, I could hardly believe it was true. At last, I was out in the wild.
Understanding is everything. The Sun and Earth logo of the Gulf Corporation, one of the Seven Sisters, of course, and I like to think of this particular unraveling and